Hello and welcome to this short recording about how to study for and to pass your F5 exam. The objective of this session then is to look at the key things that you need to make sure you are doing when you're preparing for the exam and the things that you need to think about in preparation for the exam. My name is Jo Ryan and I'm a BPP subject matter expert for F5. Following on from examiners' feedback and review of the pilot paper, we have come up with 5 key skills that we feel that you need to make sure you're proficient in order to achieve success in your F5 exam. What I'm going to do now then is to outline these 5 skills and talk about how they can help you achieve success in your exam. The first one then is to make sure that you're making very good use of the 15 minutes reading time at the start of the exam. Good strategy in this time and a plan of attack can help you to ensure that you are starting the exam in a positive frame of mind with a good plan and good technique. You need to make sure then that you know how you're going to use these 15 minutes before the exam. What that means then is that you need to practice using this reading time in the mock exams and the specimen papers that you have available to practice. You need to think about how much is realistic to achieve in that time and whether you're going to start off by planning answers to the discursive questions in section B and deciding on the best order for the paper, or whether you're going to make a start on the section A questions. The second thing then that is going to help you to make the best use of the reading time and also to approach the exam is knowledge of the syllabus. The F5 syllabus then is very broad. The examiner has stated that she will test from all areas of the syllabus. The section A questions make it even more possible for her to ensure coverage of the syllabus. Therefore, it's not possible to think, if you're not keen on an area, that you will leave it out and hope that it won't come up, because there will be balance across the 4 syllabus areas. In the exam then, you need to take that knowledge of the syllabus and make sure that you can use it to answer the exam standard questions. And the approach that you take in the exam has got to play to your strengths. So if you've revised a topic in the lead up to the exam and you feel confident with it, then that's a good section B question to start with. It will increase your confidence, it will settle you into the exam and should get you off to a good start. You don't need to do the questions in orders. What you need to do is to play to your individual strengths. So that might mean leaving some of the section A questions and coming back to them if you've got a bit more time. Timing then is very important in the exam. As a general rule, it's 1.8 minutes per mark. This means then that you should be getting through section A in approximately 70 minutes. Rather than sort of thinking that you've got 4 minutes for each of the section A questions, just under 4 minutes, might be easier to break it down into smaller chunks. Bearing in mind that some of the section A questions, especially the narrative ones, if you know the answer, you'll be able to get to fairly quickly. That said though, when you're tackling the multiple choice questions in section A, don't rush through them so much that you'll make mistakes even when you knew the right answer. The knowledge then is going to be very important for the multiple choice questions, but there will also be some application and some calculation. It's a good idea with the calculations not to look at the answers until you've entirely finished your calculation, because it's very easy in section A questions where you have got a choice of answers to stop partway through the calculation when you see a number on your calculator that matches one of the options. With the section B questions, time management will be important. The number of marks then should be a good indication of the amount of time and the amount of content needed to score. If it's only worth 3 or 4 marks, then you're not going to be wanting to write pages about it. The person who's marking your exam has to be able to follow it. So you need to make sure then that your answers are well referenced and easy to follow. so that you can make use of the own figure rule or get method marks if you make an arithmetic error in your calculations. Your written answers should also be well presented and easy to follow, and make sure then that if you're making a point, if appropriate, you're explaining why it's relevant and applying it back to the scenario in order to get the full marks. So in summary then, the reasons why students are going to pass their F5 exam is good technique. That means good use of the reading time, knowledge of all the key areas of the syllabus. It also means then that you're going to present your answers well, have effective time management, remembering 1.8 minutes per mark, and making sure that you answer and attempt all of the questions. So don't leave any of the section A questions unanswered, and don't spend so long on one question that you run out of time and are unable to tackle all of the questions. You score much better in the first few minutes on a new section B question than you will if you spend an additional 5 minutes trying to finish off one technical point. The biggest reason for success in F5 then will come about because of hard work and plenty of question practice. That means then that when you sit the exam, it feels like section A is just another bank of multiple choice questions, and you'll start to feel familiar and see that these are like questions that you have done before. And the section B questions as well will be similar to those that you've seen before, hopefully, or you'll be able to use the skills that you've developed on these before. A final bit of advice then is that the F5 examiner is very fair, but she expects students to study broadly from all areas of the syllabus. So make sure then that you are studying all of the 4 main syllabus areas and thinking about the techniques in terms of how they enable a company to assess its performance. Remember, this is a performance management paper, and so we're thinking about the different techniques being used to assess and appraise performance. The exam then is approximately 50% calculations and 50% discussion. Many students get fixated on practicing and understanding the calculations and neglect the discursive elements. Sometimes these will be the easier knowledge-based marks in the exam, so make sure that you're spending an equal amount of time on both and that you're confident with the written areas, which although harder to self-mark, are easier often to score well in. And finally, in F5 you can't question spot, so don't spend time trying to predict what might or might not come up. Instead, expect the unexpected, but know that you've got the skills and techniques to deal with whatever is thrown at you. Good luck with your studies and with your exam.